Hey everybody, welcome back to the Music Guide. This is episode 12. So this episode is actually going to be about how to use EQ. It's going to be sort of a follow-up video to my how does compression work video, where that was sort of showing you how to use compression, what it is exactly. So this one is going to be about EQ. I'm going to be using a song here that's actually already mixed and mastered and everything, but I thought it would actually make a better subject than the simple snare hits because there's a lot more going on. You'll probably hear more of the EQ doing its work. So this is the EQ we're using. This is a studio EQ. It's from Cubase. It's just the one that it comes with. Most EQs look like this. This is the one we're going to be working with today. Basically what EQ is, it allows you to change the volumes of individual frequencies instead of just the volume of the entire thing. And these here bands are what you use. So these are the different frequencies that you can sort of, I guess, adjust, like right here. So there's a few different things you can change. You can change the frequency that you actually adjust. So this is actually, so that you got 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, and then you can sort of move in and out between here. Then you got the Q. The Q is basically what kind of peak you use. You can get something like that, which is quite wide, or you can like skew it down to very, very thin. And then you also have the gain, which allows you to adjust this. But you can do most of this here stuff just by touching it here. So I think the most important thing to understand about EQ is that the reason why you want to change these to adjust for tone and things like that is there's only so much you can do with changing volume and panning in the mix. You will eventually have to start cutting and adding frequencies to get what you want. So for example, you can do what is called a high-end shelf. So this here is called a shelf, and this can be used to add a little bit of air, a bit of brightness to the vocals or whatever you're doing. And then these here are used to sort of boost and cut frequencies in the middle. A sort of common rule of thumb is that when you are boosting, you boost wider. It's just a little bit more. I guess it's sort of it doesn't sound as harsh and like it doesn't sound as harsh and obvious. But when you're doing cuts, you do actually want to cut. You actually want to cut sharper. Just sort of take like slices out like this. And then another thing you can do is low pass and high pass filtering. So right down here you do high pass filtering. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just let the high frequencies through and you cut out the lower frequencies. So, for example, just doing this. The reason you want to do this here is that this is all sort of below around 50. Unless you're talking about like kick drums and sub bass and stuff, you're not really going to be using this. It's going to be kind of useless information, and you want to sort of preserve as much. You don't want to waste as much space that your actual speakers and headphones can pump out. That can actually be filled with useful stuff. So you usually do that, and you can also do it on the other side. Like I said, that there's low pass filtering. It's the same thing, but it's only letting the low frequencies through. And a lot of times you would use this for kind of like dance music. So if you're having sort of that like I'll actually show you it here in a second, but that's sort of the kind of thing you would use that for. But let's start with, I'm going to just show you guys what my process is for doing any kind of EQ on any track. So the first thing I like to do is I keep it completely flat, and then I would take one of these guys and keep it nice and sharp, a nice sharp Q, and I make a big spike. That's pretty high. This is extreme, by the way. This is not something you want to do, but you basically want to take this and then you want to run up and down the frequencies and try and find ones that just don't sound nice. This takes a little bit of practice. You'll not be able to do this like perfectly the first time. You have to sort of train your ears a little bit. I'm still not at the level I want to be with hearing these kind of things. But we'll try it here in a sec. So let's just give it a go.
Give me a reason to feel better with you. And in my heart that I've been holding on to everything okay. Shoulders break under the weight of your heavy aspirations. While you love on everybody you can find. I'm leaving you behind.
Okay, so I found something I don't really like. So basically what I do here is I just take the cue, widen it sometimes, it depends. I'm going to widen the cue here a little bit, and then I'm just going to bring the gain right down, and then just cut that out a little bit. So I'll just show you what that there sounds like.
Just give me a reason to feel better with you. And in my heart that I've been holding on to everything good. Shoulders break under.
So it's incredibly subtle, but it's more like perfecting the mix. It's like the little details you put at the end. It's nothing extreme. But let me show you how this high-end shelf sounds. So we're actually I'll keep that there. Just to sort of show you guys the whole thing. But let's just add a little bit of brightness to it.
Away of your heavy aspirations, while you love on everybody you can find. I'm leaving you behind. Just give me a reason to feel better with you.
Is it off?
And in my heart that I've been holding on to everything good. Shoulders.
So that's quite nice. It opens up a little bit. So I'll show you that there one more time. So this is completely off.
Give me a reason to feel better with you.
On.
And in my heart that I've been holding on to everything good.
So it just adds just that little bit of thing. It's a bit too much right now, so I'm going to turn that down a little bit. But yeah, so this is sort of the first half, and then I would always, in like individual mixing, I'd always make sure I know whether I want all this low end information. In this case, I do. You don't want to cut out all the low end information on a master bus or your master at all. Just because, like, I'll show you right now just how just to sort of show exactly how bad it can sound. So I'm gonna do a cut here. This is like the best way to do it, simply because you just it's nice and clean, it's nice and smooth, and the cue lets you do that. And this here happens quite a bit, where if you have the cue really high, it just boosts that really high up. But let's just show you guys what this here sounds like.
Shoulders break under the weight of your heavy aspirations, while you love on everybody you can find. I'm leaving you behind. Just give me a reason to feel better with you.
So you can hear in this here song in particular, I actually added a sub bass in there. So there's actually notes down there that are really low, and when that there goes, when this here's on like this, it's gone. So that's why you don't want to be doing this kind of stuff on a master bus like this one. If you're doing vocals, for example, I did put something very similar like this onto my vocal here, because my vocal doesn't go that low. It's not like a sub bass, so I don't need all this information. And all it does is uses up space in your speakers. Because your speakers can only put out so much sound, so you don't really want to be having anything in there that's not necessary. We're going to get rid of that. We're not going to have that on there because we don't want it. And you can do another one of these frequency sweeps and whatever. It's completely up to you and what you feel like it needs. I usually do more than one frequency sweep and make sure I have everything cut out. In this case, we only have 4 bands, but you can just double up on EQs. You can do whatever. That's pretty much how you do that. And I'm actually going to show you what I was talking about earlier with the high pass filter. I'm getting that kind of I guess getting that kind of dance music kind of thing. So let me show you what that sounds like.
Shoulders break under the weight.
So that's it pretty much. It's pretty much just going from down here. It's the opposite of what I was doing right here with the high pass filter. It's a low pass filter, and you can actually automate to do this on its own. So in your actual song, it can just sound like this.
You love on everybody you can find.
Honestly, it sounds pretty cool. But yeah, it's just one of the effects you can use for EQ. It's a way of using EQ as an effect rather than to fix things. So yeah, so you've got your high pass filter, then you've got your sort of little adjustments here, so little cuts, and as like I said, when you boost, a lot of times you actually want to go a bit sort of wider with the EQ, and then you can go up here and get a shelf going, and sort of add a little bit of air and brightness. So this is pretty much how I want most of your tracks that don't have super low bass in it are going to look. If you're using like the most standard way of doing it, this is like the most boring way of EQing, I guess. It's just typical, it's textbook pretty much. And it honestly all just depends on what the song is, what track you're actually doing. Just sort of go with your ear. Don't let this here like distract you. Best thing I actually like to do is I like to close my eyes and try and do it just completely by ear. It's a much better way of training yourself to do it properly. And then also this has a little spectrum analyzer, so it just lets you do this.
I'm leaving you behind. Just give me a reason to feel better with you. And in my heart that I've been holding on to everything.
Just a little spectrum analyzer. And those are very handy. And then also you have the output right here. The last thing I'm going to mention about EQ is the output. When you're boosting and cutting like this, you are changing the output volume of this track, because obviously you are boosting and cutting frequencies that have volume to them. So when I do this little boost, it is turning up the entire track altogether, and that can be detrimental. The reason for that is because sometimes you can mistake loudness for sounding better. I've mentioned this before. So let me sort of show you how this works. I'll actually get something else up. All right, here we go. So VST Dynamics here. This is sort of my bread and butter dynamics thing. This has nothing to do with EQ, but I'm only showing you because this my EQ doesn't have an in and out. But you'll actually see here.
Give me a reason to feel
So there's the out.
with you.
And then if you
And in
turn
my
on your
heart
compressor,
that I've been holding on to everything.
you always want to match it.
Shoulders break under the weight of your heavy aspiration.
That was just an example that you actually have to match your input to your output to stop you making that mistake of that louder is better or quieter is worse. So try and always match it. You're not using EQ to make anything louder, you're trying to shape it. So yeah, just be careful. Don't kind of abuse it unless you're trying to get like a very extreme effect. This is mainly here to sort of shape the tone and sort of get closer to what you actually want to sound like. The main goal is to actually try and get as close as you can to what you want in the miking up stage, in the gain staging phase, and actually record it the way you want. And then this is just to get those final adjustments. But yeah, it's pretty basic once you actually get into it. It's a pretty basic concept. The hard part is to learn how to use it correctly. So just be careful with how you use it. Go with your ear. Don't let this ear distract you. But yeah, that's pretty much me. If you want to say something, leave a comment. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe if you have the time. And I will see you guys in the next video.